welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. And today I was thinking about starting a beautiful spooky series, and it is going to be all about my paranormal experiences, which is so much fun. I was thinking of doing this as like a one-off video around Halloween, but then like I have so many to share, and I need to share them, so might as well just make it into a series, as I've had experience with Ouija boards, pendulums, tarot cards, weird psychological dreams, actual paranormal experiences, paranormal hunting, just so much. EVPs. Haven't yet tried a spirit box, which I'm really looking forward to, is on my to-do list, so we can probably make that into the series when I eventually go on, so that's going to be fun. But anyway, yeah, I suddenly came across Louie. Love you, Louie. But yeah, I started to become obsessed with the Dear David thread and all this kind of stuff, so I have really wanted to make this series. So if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet and you want to be kept up to with the series, please make sure you click subscribe and the notification button, and we will get started. Okay, oh, and by the way, this is just a temporary setup. I've currently moved house and I'm still like settling in with all my recording equipment, because some of it's been put in storage, some of it's been here, so we have to make do. So as there's a mirror behind me, so it would be a weird mirror bag anyway. So anyway, on to the video. Number one. When I was younger, I would like to say I was about 4 or 5. The earliest experience I could ever remember was when I was in bed by myself, obviously, because you're a 4-year-old, but and in my bed, like, I was here, my parents' room was just here, and I would scream and scream and scream and scream, because every night there would be a shadow figure always in my room, and it would always be on the wall, and it would manifest on the wall, and it would sometimes, when I was younger, it would sometimes whisper to me, and it was very creepy. But after, like, eventually we moved house, that stopped. So, but that's the only thing I could remember, because it was so creepy, and you could hear someone walking around my room all the time, and it was just not nice for a 4-year-old especially. But I think 4-year-olds, like younger kids, are more prone to that, because yeah, I don't know, it's something about like in the mind or something. But yeah, anyway, that's just a little start one. That's not really creepy, but what's that? But it's a little bit creepy for a 4-year-old. But anyway, number 2. The next one I can remember off the top of my head was when I moved into my last house that I went out of now, and I grew up in there I was in there for a good 19 years, so I got like a jam-packed, a lot of stuff was going on in there, and sometimes it got worse, sometimes it got better, and sometimes it got really bad, that we had to burn incense, and then yeah. But the next thing I could remember what happened was my little brother and me were having a little dispute, which siblings do anyway. We were in the bathroom. We have the corridor here, the bathroom, and the stairs. The bathroom's here and the stairs are just opposite. So he ran into my parents' room, which the bathroom's here and the parents' room is here, and my room's over here. But anyway, parents' room was just straight across. And then he ran into my parents' room, and after we had the dispute, and I actually saw him go in to my parents' room with thing, and then I picked up the towels on the bathroom floor, because I think we just had like a little dispute about bathroom towels, and when I went to pick up the bathroom towels, I like leaned down onwards, so like you could see in between your legs, and then I looked down and then I could see 2 feet, but they had like really old raggedy socks on, and I was thinking, that's so weird. And then when I got up and turned round, I just heard running, but in the other direction, but giggling, but it didn't sound like my brother. And then I turned down to my brother. My brother is still in the room playing on his console from like where I left him, and I was thinking, okay. But then it rang, because it ran straight down the corridor to like an end bit, so it must have ran straight out. But then after that one I didn't sleep very well after that. But anyway, number 3, the next one I can remember the most is a lot of things would happen downstairs. So you would hear walking about downstairs, you would hear talking downstairs, and you would we used to have a rocking chair, and I have this really weird now, really bad phobias with rocking chairs, and you used to hear the rocking chair like going back and forward and whacking the wall, and it was really creepy. And every time I'd go downstairs, go and get some water or get a drink or like a snack in the middle of the night, I could hear the rocking chair like smashing against the wall, and I used to run upstairs, and oh, it was just awful. But then the next one, number 4, I think I was around about 15 and 16, and what happened is that I don't know what really triggered it. I started watching a drama, and I was watching it really late into the night, because that's when I started to get really into Korean dramas, and my light then started flickering, and I was thinking, okay, that's really, really weird. And then as the night went on, like it just felt not nice in my room anymore, and like it felt to the point where like someone was like physically over my shoulder and like really like in your personal bubble. Like if someone was like, you're here, and like they're there and they're like going over you, so they're in your personal space, and it was like, it was the most evilest feeling I have ever felt in my lifetime. And I physically couldn't sleep in it. Like, I made me cry. I had really bad dreams from it, and the dream stuff I will go on to about in a different video, because that's going to be all the psychological dreams I've had. But I had really messed up dreams. I had like it. I could hear like whispering in my ear at night. I could hear like I physically couldn't sleep for, I think for a good week. I probably slept maybe about 5 hours, because I just couldn't sleep. I had to stay up, and then I had to sleep downstairs if I actually wanted to sleep, because I physically couldn't sit in my room. During the day it was fine, but then as the like it got over to evening, it just got more and more and more and more worse. And then eventually my mum had to incense the whole house and bless my room, because it just got so bad and I physically couldn't sleep in it. Luckily I went on holiday, and then I came back after 2 weeks, and for the first night ever I could sleep in it. But yes. And then I'd say number 5, it didn't personally happen to me, but it's really creepy and it involves me, but I didn't exist, so just hang on. So when my mum was pregnant with me, my dad used to work in these offices, and they had this woman who people didn't really believe, and she was like kind of like a dog whisperer and a sidekick and all this kind of stuff. But then my dad didn't really believe her until she approached him and said these really creepy things. And then, like, obviously 9 months later, I came. So she said to my dad that he was going to have a little girl, and her name's going to be starting with an S. And he then thought that was really creepy and said that, oh, your great grandmother is looking over her, will be her guardian. And apparently she said to my dad that every single person in the world will have at least one person from their family, it could be from their present family or from their like really past family, like watching over you, and they would be basically your protector. And I thought that was quite nice. But apparently she said your great grandmother said her and so's name will be watching your daughter. But my dad never told anyone my mum was pregnant, never told her. We didn't even know we were going to have a daughter, and my dad didn't even make up the name yet. And then suddenly my mum came out going, oh, I want to call her Shelby, and then that is how I got my name. But anyway, so that was a little bit creepy. It didn't happen to me personally, but still creepy. Number 6, I would say it was a bit later in thingy. I was one time, I was sleeping in my room, obviously, and but before I like to go to bed, I sometimes do it now, but I go like scroll through my phone like everyone does before they go to sleep. So I shut down all my laptop and my equipment, and then before I go to sleep I go like dim the lights and I go through my phone. Anyway, one time I could hear this dragging sound and I was just like, what is going on? So I get up a bit and I look around and it stops and I'm like, okay. So I lay back down, go through my phone, like being wary about it, and it happens again, and then I sit up and it stops. So like it stops like immediately, like jolt stops, and I'm just like, oh my god, what is this? So then I was just like trying to test it out again. So I lay back down, and up above me I had like 2 shelves, and on top of them they had like all like trinkets and all things on there and all that kind of stuff. And there was a specific tin that was on there. It was like a really old-fashioned tin, and when I led back down again, and then I got when I led back down it started immediately, but it then started to go quicker, and then I got up as quick as possible, twisted round because it was happening above me, because when I looked up I can see my shelf but not over it, I can only see like the bottom of it, and then I could see it going, and then I saw it move and stop before my eyes, and that was really creepy. And then I had to literally I had to sleep downstairs that night, so I was like, oh my gosh. Number 7, I have to say, this one's a bit weird. I was sleeping in my bed, and this is the time where I was like, I don't know, still about 16, 17, 18. So it happened not long ago, recently. But I sometimes slept with my TV on, because I got scared of everything going in my room. I needed some sort of like mental blockage to mental it out. So I always have this fear of someone speaking into my ear when I sleep, and it's like a really, really bad fear of mine. So when I sleep, I either sleep with a pillow on top of my head, or I sleep with my duvet over my ear, or I have to have all my hair like covering my ear, to the point where like it has to be comfortable, and it's just a really bad phobia. But when I was doing that, I was getting into bed and I was comfy, and it was probably like a good half an hour, and I was dropping off, and then suddenly I hear this little girl in my room, and I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up, and it freaked me the hell out, and I was just like, fuck me. But and I think like I actually slept around my friend's house after that, because I physically couldn't sleep around my house for a while after that happened. I heard this little girl, and this little girl I knew was in my room, because I low-key, it was my fault. But that's another story. Things will start to make sense soon. And then basically I heard a girl go, Shelby, like that, whisper to me, and I was thinking, oh my god, what the hell. So I had my eyes just darted straight open, but I was facing my wall, and obviously it was behind where my TV was and stuff like that. But my TV was starting to go a bit staticky, and I was thinking, okay, this is not good. And from like what I've watched from Ghost Adventures and all this kind of stuff, like I know what's happening. And then I was thinking, oh no, and it's like, Shelby, turn around, Shelby. And I went, and I remember burying myself in my head, like burying myself in my duvet, and then I heard like creaking on my floor, like it was coming closer and closer to me, and I actually felt like my duvet, like my bed, go down, like there was a dip, and I was literally snuggled up as hard as I could, because I just froze in fear, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and it was terrifying. And then I managed to eventually fall asleep. Luckily I had my phone on the day, and I was just like playing YouTube videos until literally I passed out, or it was bright enough outside for me to go to sleep. So, and then from there on, like, And then after that, things kind of like died down again. I see, like, sometimes I noticed in my room, like, it went up really, really hard, and then sometimes it would be in the middle, or it would be nothing at all, and it would just be silent. And it would be so nice. I love the silence. And I think number 8, are we on number 8? I'm trying to think what else has happened to me. A lot of stuff has happened to me, but like some other stuff I would like to keep into another video. Number 8, in my room, I would have, my room was in the cleanest room, because I was a teenager at the time. You know what teenagers are like. You could hear things creaking in my room, and it wasn't because of old floorboards, like you could physically hear footsteps, and sometimes you would hear like footsteps going up the stairs, and back down the stairs, and across the hallway, and I then sometimes heard like more talking, like in between, like people were like in my room talking, and I'm thinking like just ignore it. And then sometimes you would hear dragging, like proper dragging, like my objects, and sometimes I'll wake up and let's say my bag would be in the corner and it'd be in the middle of my room, like it wouldn't make sense. Or like my room was the most paranormal room, because one time, I'll say this is 8.1 number 9, let's say this is number 9. One time every time I left to go on holiday, or I went on a trip, or I went to visit my friends in London, or stuff like something that I'm away for a couple of days, every time I came back, no one was allowed in my room, because I have, even like my animals, I had my dog at the time, who's here, and my cat, but when I was away, no one was allowed in my room. It was always shut because of expensive equipment. I got my laptop there and all like recording equipment and tripods and cameras. Yeah. So when I was there, when I would come back, I would make sure everything was in its place, because I have a weird OCD, and just because I knew it would happen every time, so I wanted to make sure I knew where everything was. So one time, every time I would come back, things wouldn't be where they are. So my pictures that would be like of me and my friends on my mirror, like Polaroids, they'll be stripped down and be like weirdly placed around the room, like places that would like not just on the floor, but I mean put in weird places. Like one time I found one under my pillow, and like one in my drawer, and things like, it was really weird. And then I used to have a what do you call it? One of those Disney not baby dolls, but they're like the Disney characters, but they're like really big dolls, and then you can get Alice and all that kind of stuff. I had Alice, and she was sitting on my makeup counter, and every time I came back, she would be on my bed, or she would be standing on the floor, or in the middle of the floor, or she'd be somewhere else in my room, and it just wouldn't make sense. My clothes would be chucked out, my makeup, half the makeup that I left behind would be on the floor, or like things would just be moved, and like it was annoying because every time I came back from my trip it would be like something in the morning and I had to start cleaning up. But then and I say number 10, I think I bring in a haunted doll, but that'd be, I wouldn't say I can make that into a different video because I physically do not have the doll anymore. I made sure I discarded it when I moved now, because now that I moved, there's not much stuff has been happening in here. The only things that have been really happening in here is like I can hear someone walking around in the attic, and sometimes I can hear people talking in the hallways and stuff, and this is like at 3 AM or 4 AM or like 3 AM, like 2 AM, like no one's awake. And then the other night I heard like 2 kids run down giggling, and I was like, no. Bearing in mind I live in a bungalow, and I'm now living in a bungalow, and my neighbours aren't together, they're apart, so you can't hear next door. Especially at 2 AM, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if kids were running around. But anyway, yes, I bring in a haunted doll. I think when I was younger, I used to have a big massive collection of China dolls, and when I never saw anything weird about them, but sometimes when you're young I didn't really understand it. Like my dad would help me put them away on my shelf, like I had a whole shelf of them, and then sometimes I would come back upstairs and then they would be moved, or like they would be like sitting or facing each other, or I would be like put onto my bed or on the middle of the floor or standing up, like things like that. It's just weird. So ever since I was younger in this room, stuff has always been happening. But when I was probably around about 13, 14, I went to a charity shop. Don't know why I was in a charity shop. I think I was with my mum or something. And in this doll, like, I just saw this doll instantly and I just thought to myself, I just had to have her. And it was just really, really weird, eerie feeling. I think I should have just taken that as a, you know, little hint from the world to not do it. But then I took the doll home because I felt like a really weird connection with the doll, and she stayed on my shelf the whole time, but like she had one of those eyes that she was a proper China doll, and she had those eyes that like when you move across the room her eyes follow you kind of thing. It's like one of those illusion things, and yeah, she was weird. But then the activity started really, really, really badly happening when I brought in this doll. But I will probably maybe talk about this doll more. But I physically don't have the doll anymore. I made sure like not to bring it to my house because I was so scared of getting rid of the doll, because I have this weird phobia that the doll come back for me. And I still low-key am really anxious about that, but I know it's not going to, because my mum, when we were packing up and stuff like that, she discarded it when I was not in the house because I would be too scared to discard it myself, because she knew I had a weird connection with it. Like, I wanted to get rid of it. I was just literally just going to leave it behind when I moved, but she threw it out for me. Anyway, but yeah, that is the start of my paranormal activity series, and I'm so excited and I can't wait to make more of them. I want to start like reading Bible stories, go into the David thread, Reddit, all that kind of stuff, and like, oh, I'm so excited. And maybe we can do investigation spirit boxes and things like pendulums, and oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so those are my 10 paranormal activity series experiences, that's the word, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back soon, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!